The secret to building a community, I've learned, is to listen more than you speak. It's amazing what foundations you can lay if you just give people the space to fill the silence with their own fears, their own hopes, their own mundane little secrets. Here in Maple Creek, there was a lot of silence to fill. From the outside, my life was an open book, its pages smelling of cinnamon and melting sugar. I was Valencia. I ran the little bakery on Main Street. I was the one who organized the town potluck, remembered everyone's birthday, and always had a warm loaf of sourdough for the new family down the block. I knew Mrs. Gable's arthritis flared up in the rain, that young Timmy was deathly allergic to peanuts, and that the sheriff took his coffee with 2 creams because his wife was nagging him about his weight. They saw a friendly, slightly lonely woman who found purpose in caring for others. I encouraged this. I cultivated it. I listened to their fears about the mortgage, their grief over a lost pet, their secret little hopes for their children. My empathy was a finely tuned instrument, and I played it perfectly. They trusted me. They loved me. It was the most important part of the project. This whole town, this perfect, trusting, isolated little community, was the culmination of my life's work. The Founders Day picnic I was planning, it was going to be an event that would change everything. Everyone was invited. But when I locked the bakery door at night and walked home under the fat, silent moon, the performance ended. The muscles in my face relaxed from the strain of holding a constant, gentle smile. The warmth drained away, and the cold, quiet truth of my purpose settled in. I am a farmer. These people are my crop, and the responsibility I carry isn't mine alone. It's the memory of a home that was lost to silence and dust. I don't just see the sunset. I see the colors of a sky that burned with strange energies and then faded forever. I don't just feel the breeze, I feel the memory of gray grit on the wind, a fine silt of decay that choked everything and everyone. I carry the silence of all my people in my bones. The imperative that brought me here was not a choice. It was a promise made to the dying, a command echoing across a vast emptiness. Build something new. Make us whole again. Gather what we need to survive. Sometimes a sliver of fear, sharp and unwanted, pierces my resolve. It happens when a child's small hand wraps around my finger, or when the sheriff gives me a genuine, tired smile that reaches his eyes. A flicker of warmth, an echo of the emotions I so skillfully simulate. This is the project's greatest vulnerability. Getting too close to the subjects, developing a genuine attachment, could compromise everything. It's a weakness that could condemn my people to the silence I carry within me. They are not my friends. They are not my neighbors. They are the future. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, right up until the very end. The first crack in my perfect little world had a name, Mr. Lamb. He lived in the house at the end of the cul-de-sac, a null space in my carefully woven tapestry of community data. The townfolk dismissed him as a paranoid recluse who ordered his groceries online and hadn't been seen at a town event in years. I saw him as a dangerous and unmonitored variable. One morning, he was there in the bakery, his eyes dark and intense, scanning the room as if looking for exits. He didn't hold the placid trust I was used to. "You're new," he said, his voice a low rumble that cut through the cheerful morning chatter. "I've been here almost a year," I replied with my warmest, most disarming smile. "I'm Valencia." He just stared, his gaze analytical, dismissive of the performance. "I've been here 30 years, he said quietly. "I notice things. Your garden, the nightshades you have planted by your back fence. They bloom out of season, only at night. He bought a single black coffee and left, and the cheerful bell on the door sounded like an alarm. He was observing. He was a researcher in his own right, and his subject was me. This was an unacceptable risk. The next morning, I found it on my front doorstep, a 5-pointed star drawn in coarse salt, encircling a dead crow, its wings spread as if in a final, frantic plea. It was a symbol, a message, an accusation. I felt a surge of cold, clarifying focus. A researcher doesn't tolerate contamination of the experiment. I swept the salt in the bird into a dustpan, my movements calm and efficient, and disposed of it in the trash 2 towns over. But all day, I felt his eyes on me. A glint of light from his attic window. A telescope. Not pointed at the stars, but at my house. My smile for my customers never wavered, but inside, the cold imperative was sharpening. The variable had to be eliminated before it could corrupt the dataset. That evening, I baked a fresh apple pie, the scent of cinnamon and caramelized sugar, a perfect olfactory camouflage for my intent. I walked the short distance to his house as dusk settled, the sky a beautiful, bruised purple. This was the point of no return. The threat to the project had to be neutralized. He let me in without a word, his face a mask of suspicion. His house wasn't a home, it was a command center. The walls were plastered with celestial charts, complex radio telemetry readouts, and printouts of atmospheric data. And photos. Dozens of long-lens photos of me. Working in my garden, unlocking the bakery, talking to the sheriff on the street. In the center of it all, a massive, wall-sized astrophotograph of the Andromeda Galaxy with certain star systems circled in red ink. He saw me looking at it. His voice was a reedy whisper filled with a terrible, vindicated certainty. It's a countdown, isn't it? The signals. Faint, structured pulses from that system. They've been getting stronger all year. They end today. The day of your Founders' Day picnic. He pointed a trembling finger at me, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and triumph. You're a shepherd, getting the flock ready for the slaughter. The man's paranoia had, through sheer impossible chance, brushed against the truth. It was a statistical impossibility. A shame. My practiced gentle smile remained fixed in place. Mr. Lamb, I began, my voice a symphony of neighborly concern. That's wild accusation. This has been a stressful time for everyone. Are you feeling all right? He didn't react to the manipulation. His eyes were locked on mine, searching for the lie. I know what you are, he insisted, fumbling for the phone on his desk. He couldn't be allowed to sow chaos, to panic the subjects. The entire project, the survival of my people, hung in the balance. I didn't rush. The space between us seemed to fold. One moment, he was 10 feet away, fumbling with the phone. The next, I was there. He gasped, his eyes wide with disbelief, not just at my impossible speed, but at the flicker in my hand, a momentary distortion of light and form as my biology forgot its human mask. He didn't have time to scream. My hand closed around his throat. It was not an act of anger, but of simple, regrettable necessity, like pruning a diseased branch to save the tree. The snap of his neck was a quiet, efficient sound. I landed him gently on the floor beside his desk. The variable was eliminated. I took the pie with me when I left. Ways not, want not. The Founders' Day picnic was perfect. The sun was warm, the sky a brilliant, cloudless blue. I moved through the crowd of happy, laughing people, the architect of this beautiful, fleeting moment. Every smile, every hug, every shared slice of my pie was a successful data point. Trust, optimal. Contentment, peak. The subjects were calm, happy, and gathered, ready. As dusk fell and the first stars appeared, I stepped up to the smallest stage in the center of the park and tapped the microphone. The cheerful chatter died down. Everyone turned to me, their faces open and smiling, full of the trust I had so meticulously cultivated. I looked out to them, the sheriff, the Gables, young Timmy, chasing a firefly, his mother watching with a loving smile. A year of work? A flicker of that dangerous warmth sparked within me, a momentary catastrophic system error. I crushed it. I thought of the gray dust and the eternal silence of my home. My smile vanished. My face became a blank canvas. The performance was over. "Thank you all for coming," I said, my voice now stripped of all warmth, all emotion. It was a flat clinical instrument. "It's been an honor getting to know you. You have been a truly exceptional crop." A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. "I'd like to thank you for your contribution to a vital cause. You are the main course." For a second, there was only baffled silence. Then a few nervous laughs. But they died as they saw my face. They died as the sky went dark. It wasn't a cloud. It was a presence, a vast, silent, organic-looking thing that blotted out the stars. It had no lights, no engines, only a profound and terrifying silence. Then the beams came down. Shimmering, translucent columns of energy that hummed with a low, resonant frequency. The panic was instantaneous and total. A beam touched the sheriff. He didn't scream for long. He was deconstructed, dissolving into a shimmering cloud of individual atoms, a human-shaped nebula of particles that was drawn silently, inexorably up into the ship. The process was terrifyingly clean, efficient. The air filled with the screens of the harvested. The beams moved with an agricultural precision, sweeping through the playground, turning children's laughter into glittering dust motes. I saw Timothy. His face was a mask of terror. For a heart-stopping moment, I thought of the peanut-free cookie I had baked especially for him. Then a beam found him, and he was gone. It was processing. A disassembly. The terror of it was absolute because it was so utterly indifferent. The horror of the abattoir. And I, their friend, their neighbor, stood and watched it all. I was the farmer, watching the fruits of my labor being collected. In minutes, it was over. The colossal shape above faded into a dimension I could perceive but not enter. Silence returned. The park was empty, full of ghosts. Half-eaten plates of potato salad, a child's shoe lying on the grass, a gently swaying swing. The entire town, gone. My work here was done. The mission was a success. The gathered resources would sustain my people for another cycle. I walked home through the empty streets. The silence here was different from the silence of my home. This was a temporary, hollow quiet. My home's silence was eternal. My bags were already packed. I took one last look around the sterile house that had been my stage for a year. I felt a faint, weary satisfaction. A job well done. I got in my car, the engine obscenely loud in the profound silence of Maple Creek. As I drove away, I didn't look back. The trauma I carry isn't the memory of what I did here, it's the memory of why I had to do it. The silence of this town is the price for breaking the silence of my homeworld. A fair trade by any logical metric. Out on the highway, the sun began to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. For me, it was just the start of a long drive. I had a map in the passenger seat with a new state, a new town, circled in red. A place called Harmony Gulch. According to my research, it was picturesque, isolated, and tight-knit. A place where a friendly new neighbor who loved to bake would be welcomed with open arms. I turned up the radio, a meaningless stream of human music, and settled in for the journey. After all, the harvest was plentiful, but my beings were so very, very hungry.
Thank you so much for watching or listening. Like and subscribe for more nightmares. Your support keeps the darkness from consuming this channel, so we can face the next terrifying story together. Don't be left in the dark.